So, Sanam, my question is, why is it that no matter how hard I try, even though it hurts the ones I love the most and myself, I can't stop drinking?
네, 술을 먹고 어떤 나쁜 증상이 나타납니까?
So what happens when you drink?
I get drunk.
네, 취하면 그냥 잡니까? 뭐 폭력을 행사한다든지 폭언을 행사한다든지 뭐 어떤 행위를 해서 다른 사람을 나쁘게 합니까?
So do you just go to sleep if you get drunk, or do you become physically violent or verbally abusive, or do you do bad things to your loved ones? What happens?
No, I don't become violent or abusive. I find it very calming and relaxing. And mostly I find that it relieves stress. And it removes anything that is burdening my mind.
육체적으로 그러면 술 때문에 많은 이렇게 건강을 해치는 일이 있습니까?
In that case, is your health being affected negatively because of your drinking?
It must be. I don't have any particular issues with my liver or kidneys at the time, but I do feel lethargic. I feel tired. I feel that I'm not as clear-headed as I would like to be.
한꺼번에 어떻게 많이 먹고 정신을 잃을 정도로 먹습니까? 적당한 양을 매일 먹습니까?
So how do you drink? Do you drink a lot until you black out usually, or do you drink a small amount every day?
I drink most days, although I have not drank for the last 5 days. Prior to that, I drink every day, mostly in the evenings until I fall asleep.
그러니까 아내가 술 마시는 것 때문에 많이 힘들어합니까?
Is your wife concerned about your drinking? Is it affecting her negatively?
Yes. Although she's very patient and understanding, I feel that patience is not going to last forever.
그러니까 술을 먹고 자기가 어떤 소위 행동을 하기에 아내가 힘들어합니까? 술 마시는 것 자체만 갖고는 아내가 힘들어하지 않을 거 아닙니까?
So drinking by itself, in itself, it's not something that necessarily leads to your wife suffering from it. What is it that you do once you drink that causes suffering to your wife that she needs to be patient against?
The problem, I suppose, is not so much that I drink in the evenings, but sometimes I go on binges where I drink all day for many days in a row, and that is very difficult for her.
술을 먹고 혹시 운전을 합니까?
Do you drink and drive sometimes?
Never.
안 먹으면 좋지만은 안 먹을래 안 먹을 수가 없다라고 하니까 그냥 드십시오.
So, of course, it's better for you not to drink, but you're saying that you can't stop yourself from drinking. So why don't you just go ahead and drink?
Because it's becoming untenable in my life, and frankly, I think it's leading to depression. So I feel, especially when I drink during the day and when I binge drink, I feel hopeless and empty, and I feel that there's no point in moving forward.
그러니까 무기력하고 공허하기 때문에 술을 마십니까? 술을 마시면 무기력하고 공허해집니까?
So do you drink because you feel hopeless and empty, or is hopeless and emptiness a consequence of your drinking?
That's a great question. And that's one that I've struggled with. I don't know if I'm depressed and I drink because I'm depressed, or if drinking causes depression. I'm not sure which.
조금 한 번 더 자신이 우울할 때 술을 마시고 싶은 건지 술을 마시니까 우울해지는 건지를 조금 관찰해 보십시오.
So I want you to really investigate yourself, observe yourself, whether you start drinking because you're feeling depressed, or whether you feel depressed once you start drinking.
I really only feel depressed when I drink, when I binge drink, when I drink during the day and I drink for many days in a row. That's when I really feel the most depressed. When I drink only in the evenings, I feel comfort from it and I don't feel depressed by it.
그러면 저녁에만 마시면 되잖아요.
Then why don't you just stick to the evenings when you drink?
Because I've tried that for many, many years, and it seems to be a cycle that after every several months, I wind up drinking during the day. And that's a cycle I can't seem to break.
혹시 그 알코올 중독 치료하는 데 가서 치료를 받아본 경험이 있습니까?
Have you ever been to a professional detox center or alcoholism center to get help?
No, but I've been considering seriously to go to what we have in the United States called AA, or Alcoholics Anonymous, which is a support group for people who have drinking disorders.
네, 지금 말씀하신 걸 들어보면 혼자서 그 제어하기는 어렵고 조금 치료를 받아야 될 것 같습니다.
So listening to you talk and explain your situation, it seems like that it's going to be difficult for you to control this on your own. And so you'll need some kind of professional help.
Yeah, I feel that over many years, maybe 25 years, I've stopped many times for 20 or 30 or 40 days, but and then after that, I feel like I have control. But then I start again, and it actually is worse when I start again.
네. 술을 마신다고 알코올 중독이 아니고요. 제어할 수 없으면 중독입니다.
So just drinking alcohol itself doesn't mean you're addicted to alcohol. However, if you can't control your drinking, that's addiction.
I believe I'm addicted.
저기 우리 정신과 전문의 조금 의견 한번 내봐요.
You want to comment on that? I know you're a professional, medical professional in this area.
Oh, sure. No, he's in the right group, and I think that there's like certain stages, and one of the things that is important for him in discussing, he's trying to figure out, like, he is balancing between like what is really important here. So like what is the drinking important, the calm feeling important, or is there something else that's sort of like more important to you? So I think it's really going to be important if you can decide what's going to be important in your life and which direction you'd like to move forward with that. And I think the group that you're in, I couldn't hear, are you attending Alcoholics Anonymous? Is that correct?
Not yet.
Okay.
I'm thinking of starting it.
Yeah, high success rate for that program. Wonderful start for that. I think even if you did go see a psychiatrist or a clinician they would most likely recommend that you go to Alcoholics Anonymous as a first step.
네, 우선 제가 생각할 때 우선 신경정신과에 가서 우울증 검사를 먼저 해보는 게 필요한 것 같습니다.
So, in my personal opinion, I think it might be necessary for you, first go to a psychologist, a professional, medical professional, and see if you are suffering from depression.
만약에 제가 볼 때는 우울증이 더 술 먹는 것보다 우선일 수도 있습니다.
In some ways, it might be that depression kind of precedes your drinking.
우울증 치료가 되면 오히려 술을 먹더라도 자기가 제어할 수가 있게 됩니다.
And if it is depression and you get treated for depression, maybe that allows you to control your drinking.
근데 이게 알코올 중독성상 때문에 오는 우울증이라면 이제 중독을 치료받아야 됩니다.
But if it's the addiction that's leading to the sense of depression, then of course you got to treat the addiction first.
그러니까 먼저 정신과에 가서 우울증에 대한 검사와 의사의 조견을 먼저 듣고 시도해보고 그 다음에 이제 알코올 치료센터에 가서 치료받는 이런 순서는 어떨까 싶네요.
So, if I may offer kind of a sequencing, maybe you go first to a psychologist or psychiatrist and get professionally diagnosed whether you have depression or not. Then based on that diagnosis, you can take the next steps.
네, 지금 상태는 약간 이런 분야의 전문가의 상담과 치료가 필요합니다.
Because I think at this stage of your condition, it is a professional medical intervention might be needed.
너무 걱정하지 마시고요. 그러니까 몸을 치료하듯이 이 정신적인 것도 치료를 하면 됩니다.
Yeah, I don't think you should worry too much as we, try to treat our physical ailments. We can definitely treat our mental ailments as well.
네, 먼저 한번 웃어보세요.
So I want you to smile first.
네, 웃는 것은 치료에 굉장히 도움이 됩니다.
Because smiling certainly helps.
네, 항상 감사하는 마음을 내야 됩니다.
And also we have to be grateful all the time.
아침 일어났을 때 살았다 이렇게 산 그 기쁨을 먼저 감사할 줄 알아야 됩니다.
When we wake up in the mornings, just to tell ourselves, yes, we are alive, and be grateful for the fact that for the joy of life.
아침에 눈 못 뜨면 죽는 거예요.
Because if we can't open our eyes in the morning, that means we're dead.
그리고 아침밥을 먹으면서 배고픈 사람들을 생각하면서 이렇게 먹을 수 있어 참 감사하다 이런 마음을 내야 됩니다.
And as we eat our breakfast in the morning, for those we think about those that we cannot eat, who are not able to eat, and be grateful for the fact that you are eating.
네, 그리고 혼자 있으면 굉장히 외로운데 부인이나 있어서 이렇게 아내에게 부인이 있어서 참 행복하다 이런 마음을 내야 됩니다.
And also be thankful that you have a wife with you, because being by yourself can be supremely lonely.
네, 그리고 자기 일이 있다면 이 잡이 있어서 일이 있어서 참 행복하다 이렇게 마음을 내야 됩니다.
And also the fact that you have a profession or job, and be grateful for that you have that job.
그리고 그래도 아직 내 손으로 밥을 떠먹고 내 힘으로 똥을 누고 내 힘으로 걸어 다닌다. 이 굉장히 중요한 거예요. 여기 대해서 건강에 대해서 감사해야 됩니다.
And also be grateful for your physical health, the fact that you can actually be self-sufficient. You can eat your own food, go to the bathroom by yourself, give yourself a bath. Being independent physically is also very important.
이렇게 감사하는 마음을 내면 그것이 정신치료든 정신 문제든 병이든 어떤 육체병이든 굉장히 도움이 됩니다.
So this sense of gratitude, like explicit and conscious sense of gratitude, is very, very helpful to healing any mental ailments as well as physical ailments.
May I ask a follow-up question? I agree. I think that's fantastic advice. May I ask a follow-up question?
네.
Of course, yes.
do you have any suggestions about how I can deal with the cravings for alcohol?
첫째, 병원에 가서 상담을 받고 치료를 받는 게 가장 우선입니다.
I think first and foremost, you need to go to a professional medical person and get treated.
이게 치료받으면 간단하게 해결될 거를 혼자서 해결하려면 굉장히 어려울 때가 있습니다.
Because maybe it's a simple matter if you go for professional treatment, and for a simple matter, if you try to do it yourself, it becomes really complex and difficult.
본인이 이런 의지가 자기 치료에 대해서 의지가 없으면 제가 이렇게 의지를 가지라고 할 수 있는데 자기 지금 의지를 가지고 여러 번 시도해도 스스로 안 됐다고 했지 않습니까? 그럴 때는 또 결심한다고 되는 게 아니에요. 오히려 전문가의 도움을 받는 게 훨씬 낫습니다.
Because in your case, it's not a lack of will to change, or you don't lack any motivation to want to change. Because if you did, then I might approach this in a different way and encourage you with a motivation or will. But this, you have tried multiple times in order to change, to change this habit. So I don't think it's a matter of you lacking will. So I think at this point, it's important for you to go and seek professional help.
우울증 검사를 해보는 것을 두려워하거나 부끄러워할 필요가 없습니다.
There's nothing shameful about getting treated or diagnosed for depression.
네, 손가락이 다쳐서 병원에 가서 치료받는 것과 똑같은 겁니다.
Same exact thing as me hurting a finger, slicing my finger open and getting it treated at a hospital.
네, 감기가 걸렸을 때도 가만히 있어도 치료되지만은 그러다가는 폐렴으로 이렇게 전이될 위험이 있을 때는 가서 치료를 받아야 됩니다.
It's getting treated for a flu instead of waiting around and allowing it to become pneumonia.
네, 그래서 첫째 이 우울증 검사를 먼저 해보는 게 필요합니다.
So I think it's important for you to first, examine yourself for depression.
그리고 반드시 그 알코올 그 치료 센터하고 우선 그 서클에 가기 전에 의사의 상담을 받아서 의사가 그 모임에 가는 게 좋겠다 이렇게 하면 가면 됩니다.
And so before you go to the Alcoholics Anonymous, I think you should get the doctor's opinion. And if he agrees or she agrees, then you should go. Then you can go then.
네, 그 치료를 그 병원에 가서 치료받는 걸 전제로 하고 제가 제안한 이런 감사하는 마음을 꾸준히 내는 것을 겸하게 되면 더 도움이 된다는 거예요.
So, with you going to see a doctor as a prerequisite, and if you can try to exhibit the sense of gratitude in everything you experience and do, I think it's going to be helpful.
그러니까 어떻게 혼자서 하려는 것은 의지는 좋은데 지금은 전문가의 진단이 더 필요합니다.
I think I laud your will to do whatever it takes to change, but at this point, sometimes we need experts' help.
네, 한 번 더 웃어보세요.
I want you to smile again for me.
이렇게 저처럼 이렇게 좀 이렇게 좀 웃어보세요.
So I want you to smile like me, loudly.
네, 감사합니다.
Thank you.
네.
Thank you.
네. 네, 이 문제에 대해서 조언을 하실 분이 있으면 얘기 나누세요.
So
추가적인
anybody want to add their comments or experiences to this?
I can just second and say that, yes, there are medications also to help with craving as well. And they can be prescribed by a psychiatrist or an addiction specialist.
네, 그렇습니다. 예, 약물 치료도 있으니까 일단 병원에 가보는 게 필요합니다.
Yes, definitely. There are medications. So I think it is important for you to go to see a doctor first.
네, 얘기하십시오.
Please go ahead.
Thank you, Sunim. Always such a pleasure to be with you. And I want to just respond or react to this because I've been an alcoholic for many years, and I'm out of alcohol right now. I've been abstinent of alcohol for 13 years, so what they call sober. And I know it's very, very hard. There's so many little factors. Once the alcohol is gone, your mind is what is left. And there is a lot of things to heal in there. And alcohol for me was very similar to what he's talking about, what Keith is talking about. I was not violent, not aggressive, nothing, but I was creating an atmosphere in my house that was making my wife very, very, what can I say, very wary. And because of that and a lot of embarrassing situations that we do and go through alcoholism, I decided I needed to quit. I went to AA only for 1 year because I couldn't do it alone. And after that year, I basically, by myself, which they don't recommend, because they say once you're an alcoholic, you're an alcoholic. But to be honest, I find my strength now in these conversations, in the practice that I'm doing right now. But that alcoholism was really big in my family. And if I kept going, I was driving my wife to a point that she said, if you don't stop, I don't know what to do. I may have to leave you. So I understand you so well. I hope you know well. I think Sunim is giving you the best advice. And, psychological help is importantissimo, very important, because after the alcohol gone, the addiction for alcohol is gone. What is left is your mind. It's your resentment, the things that you done wrong, and all that is just what is left. And that is very overwhelming. And then you start being resentful or being, how can I say, you start like remembering all these things that you did wrong to people, and it can actually drive you crazy. I was very close to receive treatment, but I decided to do it by myself. They call it cold turkey. So that you're doing, with no medication, no anything. It's a very hard thing to do. It can be done. But with this kind of conversation with Sunim and all this incredible knowledge that he has, and there are many possibilities. But Sunim, I agree totally. Psychological help will be fine. AA might help too. But conserving your family and your peace of mind and your peace of mind is more important than anything else. Thank you.
네, 감사합니다. 또 발언하실 분.
Anybody else would like to add their comments?
May I ask a question?
네, 그러세요.
Of course, go ahead.
Thank you for your comments. I appreciate it very much. When I have quit drinking for a period of time, one of the difficulties I have is I don't know what to do with my time. It's not spent drinking. Do you understand? So I guess AA would fill some of that time, but I think that's one of the problems. In the evening, I just feel empty, like I have nothing to do because I'm so used to filling the evening by drinking. So I was wondering if you have any suggestions about how to fill that time.
That emptiness, according to what I experienced, that emptiness and loneliness is big, and it's going to get worse as you stop drinking. Once you go back to drink, they say it's going to be worse and worse. I stop in between 4 or 5 months. I go and it's triple. It gets triple. If it's addiction, but in terms of that particular advice of emptiness and loneliness, Sunim, Sunim is the proper person to speak about that but that happens. You're gonna feel like when you don't have the alcohol, you're gonna feel like, you can get very depressed to the point about thinking about suicide too, to be honest, because I went to stages like that. But, I refer you back to Sunim. Thank you.
네. 예, 또 조언하실 분이 있으면 얘기해 주세요.
Anybody else would like to speak up?
I have a couple of YouTube comments. Youngmi has shared mental health evaluation and substance use disorder evaluation recommended, and professional intervention is the best at this time regarding craving and trigger management. And Ruha has shared, let your family and friend know how they can help you on this journey. And also Rick Scale Rifa has shared, minimize exposure to triggers for drinking.
네, 또 다른 분 있어요? 남편이 그러면서 아내가 힘들었던 아내들의 경험이 있으면 한번 나눠주세요. 얼마나 힘들었는지.
So if there are spouses here, wives, like, in this situation, who have suffered because of their spouses drinking, anybody would like to speak up?
다들 남편 잘 만났나 봐요.
Everybody must have a wonderful marriage.
이 공허함이 이제 술을 마시게 만들고 또 술을 마시는 습관, 중독이 되면 이제 안 마시면 더 공허함이 가중됩니다.
So this sense of emptiness forces us, drives us to drink, and then when we stop drinking, it actually increases the space of emptiness.
네, 그래서 또 마시게 되고요.
And that leads to even more drinking.
그러니까 그때만 해결이 되지 계속 그것이 증폭이 된다는 거예요.
So we can solve that emptiness, at that moment in time by drinking, but it actually adds to that space.
네, 우리 의사 선생님이 조금 더 조언을 한번 해보세요.
If our doctor can actually add a little more to this.
Thanks for putting me on the spot. It is definitely one of the more difficult clientele that do come into my office when there's a difficulty with addiction and trying to fill that emptiness and space. That is actually a mission that a lot of the therapists and addiction specialists do. Is when the patients come in, they try to figure out what is important to you and what kind of things do you want to build up? Because yes, when you take away something, then you do need to make that go some other direction. And that's probably why it's great to have the two specialists in particular, the addiction, the doctor, but also the therapist or psychologist, to kind of recognize what kind of things will eventually kind of fill that gap that's being left.
자원봉사를 하면 치료에 아주 도움이 됩니다.
Yes, volunteering can be really helpful.
네, 왜냐하면 이건 이해관계로 사람을 만나는 게 아니니까요.
Because it's not transactional volunteering for something.
그렇지 않으면 이렇게 공작, 그러니까 연장 의자를 만들다든지 꽃을 키운다든지 이렇게 일거리가 있어서 낮에 일거리가 있어서 저녁에 피곤해서 푹 잘 수 있는 그런 일거리가 필요하고요.
Or something that has to do with making something with your hands, whether that's woodworking or doing something with flowers, something that makes you tired at the end of the day.
그다음에 하루에 이렇게 10,000보 이상, 15,000보, 20,000보 이렇게 걷는 것도 매우 도움이 됩니다.
Or maybe walking from 10,000 to even 15 to 20,000 steps a day.
네, 그런 것들을 이렇게 우선 병원에 가는 게 가장 중요하고요. 치료를 하면서 그런 것을 겸했으면 좋겠습니다.
Of course, the most important thing first and foremost is going to a hospital and seek medical intervention. But then, do these activities in parallel.
네, 한국 사람이라면 제가 절을 시키겠는데 절을 하는 것도 아주 도움이 됩니다.
If you were Korean, I actually would prescribe and ask you to do the full bowing exercise because those really help as well.
네, 운동도 되고 이렇게 스트레스 해소도 되고요.
Because it's a really good exercise as well as relieve stress.
네, 모든 것에 앞서서 우선 의사의 진찰을 받아보는 것을 최우선적으로 해주셨으면 좋겠습니다.
But before anything else, I wish you would go and see a doctor.
네,
How do you feel now?
I feel a bit more optimistic, and I feel that I have some guidance. Gonna definitely go see a psychologist for a starter, and then see what they have to say about what direction I should take next.
네, 의사 선생님을 하더라도 아프면 다른 의사 선생님에게 치료를 받아야 됩니까? 자기가 의사니까 자기가 치료합니까?
So if you're a medical doctor, you get hurt, do you have to go to another medical doctor to get helped, or do you treat yourself just because you're a medical doctor?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
의사 선생이 그러니까 남을 치료하는 의사가 몸이 아프다. 그러면 자기가 자기를 의사니까 치료해야 됩니까? 다른 의사 선생님에게 가서 치료를 받아야 됩니까?
So say that you are a medical doctor. Should you treat yourself just because you're a doctor, or you seek help with another doctor?
Of course not. Seek help from a different doctor, not treat myself.
네, 지금 질문자는 다른 사람의 도움이 좀 필요하다는 얘기를 하고 싶어서 그래요.
So what I was trying to say is that you're at a point in which you do need somebody else's help.
I agree.
네, 내가 이거 전문가인데 내가 나를 치료해야 된다. 자꾸 이렇게 너무 생각하면 치료가 더 어려워집니다.
Because healing oneself becomes difficult if you tell yourself that you can heal yourself.
That's what I have tried, and I've tried it for decades, and it has not worked. So it's time to seek help.
네, 내가 어려워서 도움을 청하는 것은 부끄러운 일이 아닙니다. 잘못된 것도 아니고요.
Because there's nothing wrong or shameful about asking for help because you need it.
네, 그러니까 가볍게 그냥 이렇게 체크를 해보시기 바랍니다.
So I want you to engage this with a light heart.
저도 수행자니까 저도 아프면 어때요? 내가 스스로 자가치료해야 되겠습니까? 의사 도움을 받아야 되겠습니까?
Since I'm a spiritual practitioner myself, but if I'm hurting, should I try to heal myself, treat myself, or should I go seek professional help?
네, 감기 걸리면 병원에 가서 치료를 받습니다.
Because if I get a flu or cold, I go, see a doctor.
백신 주사도 맞았습니다.
I receive my vaccine shots.
이빨이 아프면 가서 치과에 가서 치료받습니다.
If my tooth hurts, I go get treated at a dentist.
네, 우리는 모든 것을 다 혼자 할 수가 없습니다.
We can't always do things ourselves.
남에게 지나치게 의존하는 것은 문제입니다.
Of course, relying and depending too much on others is a problem.
네, 가능하면 자기가 자기 건강을 조절해야 합니다.
Because I think it is up to us to try to take care of ourselves.
그러나 때로는 사고가 나거나 조심한다고 했지만은 잘못됐을 때는 전문가의 도움을 받아야 합니다.
But in case of accidents and things happen, in those cases, we need experts' help.
일부 신앙자들은 치료를 거부하거나 수혈을 거부하거나 이런 경우도 있지 않습니까?
Of course, you realize that there are some religious people who refuses medical help or refuses blood transfusion, for example.
그것은 자기 신념이니까 괜찮습니다.
But I think that's okay because it is part of their faith.
그러나 우리가 집착을 하지 않는다면 우리는 필요하면 서로 돕고 살아야 합니다.
But as long as we don't obsess over others, if we need help, I think we should help each other.
도움을 주기도 하고 도움을 받기도 하고요.
Give help and receive help.
네, 그러면 오늘 이렇게 참가한 분들 중에 오늘의 대화를 듣고 소감을 나누고 싶은 분이 있으면 해주시기 바랍니다.
So is there who participated today who would like to comment or add their comments or questions?
Yes, I so totally agree with what Josh Sunim says. There is a saying in AA that says that when you start talking to yourself and try to do things by yourself, you are talking to the wrong person, because they come to a point that really they come to a point that you need somebody's help. And I totally agree 100% with Sunim, because the times that I was talking to myself to get myself out of that is talking to the wrong person, to be honest. There's a point that you need the help. I totally agree with Sunim.
네, 아주 좋은 말씀해 주셨습니다. 네, 그러면 채팅창에 있는 거를 좀 읽어주시기 바랍니다.
And so let's take a look at what came up on the chat window.
Yep. Hee-kyung has shared that nothing important in this world. I think she's repeating what Sunim said. And Youngmi has shared, if you focus on each step to reach your goal, that should be fun instead of only the end goal.